Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm Jacqueline Kane, and I'm very excited today to have Dee DiFatta, who is a positivity expert, an empowerment coach, inspirational speaker, and published author here with me today, talking about overcoming multiple sclerosis. So welcome, Dee.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Very welcome. So, would you love to share your story about how you came along to have that diagnosis?
Well, I was diagnosed the day before my 22nd birthday. And honestly, before that point, I considered myself an overachieving, stressed out perfectionist and wore it as a badge of honor.
Mhm.
Not realizing what it was doing to my body, my mind, my spirit, and my emotions. I was the powerhouse who powered through everything. So one day I was working in retail and my foot felt numb. And I'm like, this is weird. I took off my shoe thinking that maybe it was swollen and it wasn't swollen. And when I got home, I figured, well, maybe I was stressed out. I'll get in a hot bath and relax. Well, the feeling traveled all the way up my left leg and into my left torso. I'm like, oh, and I
Mm.
didn't have the energy to get out of the tub.
Wow.
Like, this is bad. So my mom had been a nurse and she immediately called the doctor, who immediately got in touch with the neurologist. And one thing led to another. And before I knew it, I was sitting across from the neurologist and she was saying, "You have MS." I'm like, now what?
That's a very young age to be
Mhm.
diagnosed with this,
Yeah.
and that it came on so quickly.
Mm. It's funny, as quickly as it came on, and it seemed like it was out of the blue, like a bibbidi bobbidi boo moment. Imagine what my body and mind and spirit were going through all those years beforehand in order for that to come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our bodies are always trying to get our attention,
Yeah.
right? But we're so busy and overdoing and overstressing, and so it's got to do something really big and strong to
Oh, it
get
was
our
big.
attention. Yes.
It was big. Oh, but that didn't work. I didn't tell you. I get diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and they immediately prescribe steroids, and I'm talking potent steroids, which knocked it out of my system a few weeks later, and I'm like, "Woohoo, I can live my life again." And I immediately hopped right back on the hamster wheel and kept running.
Right.
So, until a year and a half later when I had another exacerbation.
Mm,
And again, the steroids went away, and I got back on the hamster wheel and started running. It's
mhm.
amazing how we don't listen to our bodies. We don't listen to the signs to slow down.
Well, I think our society, our programming is all about get stuff done,
Yeah,
get over it, move on, hurry up. There's too much to do.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that's what we're
mhm,
trained. We're conditioned to be that way.
yeah, which hurts. It just hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when did you do something about it, or when did it really grab your attention?
It was November 2018 when I went to see my neurologist, and I the only mobility device I was using back then was a wheelchair, and that was only for long distances. If we went on a trip, my husband would push me in a wheelchair. I went to see him and I was literally wall walking. I was holding on to anything that I could find in order to hold myself up. I was not aligned at all. I was slumped over. It was bad. And my
Mm,
neurologist took one look at me without doing any tests at all and said, "If you don't do something to change now, you're going to be in a wheelchair by the time you turn 60." And I'm
mm.
like, that's not an option. It's not an option. I mean, and it wasn't an option because I knew I could do something for myself to change. I knew that there were other options out there. I knew like different alternative healing methods that I had not explored yet. So yeah, I instead of going on the medication he wanted me to go on, I came off everything and decided to heal myself naturally.
So where did that inner knowing come from? Because that's a strong, I think
Well,
some of us have it. I also have
yeah.
it that no, I'm going to do it naturally. I don't want to take medication. There's got to be another way. What was it for you that said, I'm going to do it different?
It's funny because before I went to see him, the prescription that I had been on to help me walk expired and I couldn't get it renewed. Like all of a sudden it wasn't being approved by, the pharmacy. They're like, no, we can't approve that. I'm like, okay, sign. Then when he wanted to put me on this other medication and one of the side effects was breast cancer and my sister had just recovered from breast cancer, I'm like, big sign. So, it was just little things that happened that I went, you know what? No, I'm going to try a different approach.
Mm-hmm. And how did it turn out?
Incredible. But you know what? I don't think I realized in the beginning when I started on this journey exactly how challenging it can be. Because I realized that even though my body was compromised and my cognitive functioning was compromised with MS, my spirit was not. I had this indomitable spirit. And people used to say that too. That's something else that was a major sign for me. People always used to say, wow, you have such a positive spirit. You have such an indomitable spirit. You're so, you have such incredible energy. I'm like, what does that mean? At the time, I had no idea, but I knew it had to mean something. So, I started journaling. I felt blessed with MS. I started being grateful for the situation I was in and just seeing life from a whole different perspective. Who knew it was going to end up being my purpose in life? I had no idea at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the gift in our illnesses, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me more. What did you discover that you were grateful for?
I was grateful for being diagnosed with MS because it allowed me to be authentically me. I didn't have to put on facades. I didn't have to pretend to be somebody I wasn't. I didn't have to show up as the people pleaser I had always been. I didn't have the energy for that crap. I'm like, I only had enough energy for what was most important to me. And it gave me that time to look at my life and say, okay, what are the most important things in my life? And it was love, the love for myself, the love for my family, the love for the friends who supported me and loved me back. I didn't have time to deal with all that other BS. It wasn't worth my time or effort. It wore me out. It depleted me. So I was grateful to slow down, to be forced to slow down in order to finally see life from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned people pleaser. That's a big trait in women that we, for some reason, whatever happens in our childhood, right, in our upbringing, in our being raised by our family and taking on their conditioning, we take on this belief that if I take care of other people, maybe I'll get loved.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll feel that love that I really, really desire. And then when we get to a point where we're like, nah, that doesn't really work. It's not working. And I'm sitting here in pain and illness, right? Yeah. So what were some of the things, the modalities that you used to do the work to get to feeling more grateful?
It's funny. I had, at the point when I was diagnosed with MS, actually probably even before that, I had pretty much tossed religion off to the side. It was not helping me anymore. I didn't feel like praying was helping me anymore. Church was definitely not helping anymore. And I got to a point where I was sitting at work one day and I was so frustrated. I just like, what do you want from me? I just didn't know what to do. And the words give up did not resonate with me. Never have. I've always been stubborn, like, no, I have to find another way. And I walked by my friend's office and she had this cat calendar and this one picture, I'll never forget it. I took a picture of it because it meant so much to me. It was a cat with its eyes closed and its paws up in the air. And I'm like, oh my God, that's it, surrender. Mm-hmm. And I went back to my desk and I put my paws up in the air and I said, I surrender. I'm asking for assistance. What do you want from me? And it was like the floodgates opened. I'm like, whoa, I'm at work. I can't write this fast. Whoa, slow down. But that was the moment where I asked the universe to speak to me or speak through me, and it never stopped. It just never stopped. It's like, where have you been? We have missed you. Thank you for coming back, and let us guide you. I'm like, okay. Does anybody else hear this?
That's awesome. So you were able to slow down and start
Mhm.
listening to the messages that were coming through you.
It was super important. And
Nice.
that's
Yeah.
when journaling became a part of my life. Like I would just sit there and write whatever I heard and then go back and read it again and be like, what does this mean? And it's funny how, I wanted to heal myself of MS, but I didn't know how. And by shutting my own trap and listening to what was coming to me, the hows were coming through. It's like, okay, well, maybe you should reach out to this person, or people would just show up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, gotcha. So it was amazing, just amazing. I mean, that's how I came to see you and work with you, because something came through on my feed. Someone had worked with you. And I'm like, I needed to hear that. Thank you very much. That's the direction I need to go in. And that's exactly what we did. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how we have to slow down to hear the messages, where it's the opposite of what we're taught. We're taught to do more and keep going and push through. And
Oh,
that's when illness shows up. That's when complications and challenges show up. And the more we can slow down
mhm.
and listen to the messages, things really start to change.
Yeah. Yeah. It's life changing. But, at the time, I mean, if you grow up in that mentality of go, 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 do, 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 I got to stay busy. I got to keep going. I got to
Yeah.
please people. I got to be here and here and here and here and here. When something happens to slow you down, you're pissed. It doesn't even occur to you that this is
Yeah.
like a sign from the divine to slow your ass down so
Yeah.
that you can take something else in.
Yeah.
You get so angry, and it's okay to be angry. That's kind of the first step. If you're angry, be angry. If you're sad, be sad. If you're, whatever, just let it out. But so often we feel that way and then we stuff it down again.
Mhm.
And that makes it even worse.
Yes. And we even reward our teenagers and our kids. Look at all they're doing. She's so busy. Look at all he's doing.
Yeah,
It's like, no, no, we keep reinforcing that.
I know. So I have to share a story that reminds me of a time when I saw my daughter. She was home from college, and she was actually, it was during COVID, so she was attending classes from home, and she was stressed out. And I went into her room and I go, "What's going on?" And she goes, "Mom," she goes, "there's this class that I'm in that I hate, can't stand it. It's the beginning of the semester." And she goes, "I don't want to be in it anymore." She goes, "But I can't get out of it." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "It's an honors class, Mom." She goes, "I've always been in honors classes." She goes, "That's just what's expected of me. Like that's where I belong." And I said, "Whoa." At that moment, I saw an old version of me in her, and I'm like, "Oh, we got to stop this right now."
Yeah.
And I took a pause and I said, "Casey," I said, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I want to ask you some questions." I said, "What happens if you drop this class?" And she goes, "Well, I would take another one that I really want to take. I just, and I said, "Okay." I said, "Is this class, by dropping this class, is it going to hurt your GPA? Does it hurt you, that way?" She goes, "No." I said, "Is it something that you don't get your money back and you can't take something else?" She goes, "No." I said, "Is it something that's going to keep you from getting the job that you want in the future?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, just so you know," I said, "I know I'm your mom." I said, "I am not pressuring you in any way, shape, or form." I said, "I've been through that." I said, "This is your chance to choose what's best for you." I said, "I'm not here to make your decision for you, but I'm giving you the option. You get to choose whatever you want to do. Just do what's best for you. Do what brings you joy." And that was a turning point in her life.
What a
Major.
beautiful gift you gave her. Yeah.
Yeah, because she dropped that class that she hated. She took on this other class that she loved. She had a great rapport with that teacher, and just by doing that, it didn't, like, other doors opened for her. And I'm like, "That's awesome." So,
That's a beautiful gift to give a teenager,
mm,
right? And a young lady who's just starting out and feeling the pressure, because some kids don't have that option. They just keep doing what they think what we think we're supposed to be doing. So you gave a gift to your child to have that conversation and to explore what else is possible. Because we're not put here to push and be miserable and just do, and then retire and maybe enjoy some time, right?
Exactly.
We were put here to experience life. Yeah, so congratulations. She's really lucky to have you.
Oh, I'm lucky to have her too. I mean,
Yeah.
she's a blessing, and the way she looks at life is different.
Mhm.
And we compare notes, and it's wonderful. It's like, wow, you are so ahead of your time. Oh,
Yeah.
here I am at 51 years old, still figuring this stuff out. And at 23, she's like, oh yeah, I know that. I'm like, really?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So you have a book that's out. Do you
I
want to share
do.
how that came to be?
So it's funny. I told you I journal. Journaling was my thing. It's how I got my ideas out of my head, and I started to see things from a different perspective. And I had always wanted to write a book. Ever since 2014, I had planned on writing a book called Blessed with MS. And then it went, it just wasn't the right time. And then in 2019, I was going to write this book of quotes with all kinds of stuff, and that didn't work out. I'm like, oh, come on, what do you want from me? So in 2020, I was asked to be a contributor to a book called Transformation 2020, right here, which was amazing. And I shared a letter of apology from my higher self to my inner child. And it was a lot of forgiveness. And I didn't even realize everything I had been holding on to that I thought was truth. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, forgive me for being in control. Forgive me for being a people pleaser. Forgive me for not knowing then what I know now. Just forgive me. I never meant to guide you in that direction. Now is our starting point to move forward on, a better footing. So after that, it liberated me to think about, okay, well, what's my next book? Where do I go from here? And I started going through all my old notebooks and highlighting different things that meant a lot to me. And lo and behold, it was a book of quotes. And as I started writing, and as I, started writing them all out, I said, holy crow, I have a ton of them.
Wow.
And lo and behold, in 2021, your daily dose of positivity was born.
Wow.
So yeah, it's amazing. And every day it's a different quote, and it's in huge print, and it's so much fun. And today's really resonates with me. I actually shared it on Facebook because it meant so much to me. I'm going to turn to it now because this was actually part of my forgiveness letter too. It was all about transforming from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And, caterpillars don't know what they're about to go through, and butterflies don't have any recollection of what they've been through. But as humans, we're like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? So we're so afraid of that in between.
Yeah.
So the quote for today is, a butterfly cannot transition back to a caterpillar, and you were not meant to convert back to the old version of yourself either. Keep evolving and moving forward.
Wow,
Yeah.
that really resonates for today.
Yeah, definitely. And people are always like, I just want to get back to normal. Dude, normal did not get you to where you're supposed to be. Normal made you sick. Why would you want to go back to normal if normal wasn't working for you in the first place? Like, what is your new normal? Let's be curious and explore a new normal. What do you want it to look like?
Yeah. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so how can people get this book and how can they get a hold of you?
This book is available on Amazon. So they can get a hold of me. I'm everywhere. And I didn't realize that until I went on Google the other day and did a Google search of myself. I'm like, whoa, I am on Facebook. I am on LinkedIn. I am on YouTube. I have my own website, www.adoseofpositividee, and that's DEE.com. So yeah, I'm out there. I'm not hard to find. If you want to find me, trust me, I'm available.
And so you help women with MS overcome MS. Yes?
I do. I do. But you know what? It's funny. A lot of women with MS, when you hear overcome MS and healing MS, they think it's a cure. Okay. There is no current cure for MS. Overcoming MS is pretty much overcoming the stigma and the limitations and all the attachments to the disease. So after 29 years of navigating this, I have never been happier and healthier than I am today. Does that mean that I'm not using a walker anymore? No, I'm still utilizing a walker and I'm okay with that. But, I'm not beating myself up for not being the person I think I should be, you
Mhm.
know? So I love myself for who I am in this moment. And I know in my heart and soul that I have the power to heal from within, which is what I've been doing. I started with the spirit. I moved on to my mind. I moved on to my emotions. And now I'm on to my body. So you have to love yourself. You have to truly love and accept yourself for who you are before you can shift your behavior and overcome anything.
Yeah. And I do believe, like you, that we can overcome anything.
Mm.
So thank you, Dee, for being here and for all of this insight. And if you know any women out there, MS is a big diagnosis. There's many women, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a lot of people living with MS. So please reach out to Dee to help heal another woman who is doing way too much,
Yeah.
needs to slow down, needs to have permission to
Mhm.
slow down, and needs to get back to enjoying her life. So thank you so much, Dee. And everybody go out and get her book. Um, and everybody needs a little bit more of positivity in their life. So
That was
thank you again.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. It's such an honor to be here and share with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.